Hello guys, welcome back. Today we're going to look at some phrases containing prepositions, which can be very confusing for English learning students. Let's get started. At the end or in the end. We use at the end or at the end of when talking about the last part of a story, a film, a book, or a game. For example, at the end, the main characters die, which means at the end of the book, or at the end of the story, or at the end of the film. There are some questions at the end of this chapter. We often use at the end of when talking about the last part of a period of time, such as month, year, term, and so on. So we say at the end of the month, at the end of the year, at the end of the term. I'm going away at the end of the month. In the end means the same as eventually or finally. We use it when saying that something happens either after a very long period of time or after a lot of other things have happened. My friend had a lot of problems with his house. He sold it in the end, which means after having a lot of problems with his house, he finally sold it. She tried a lot of different jobs and in the end she found a perfect one. She finally found a perfect job for herself after trying a lot of different jobs. The same principle works for phrases at the beginning or at the beginning of and in the beginning. So we say at the beginning of a story, a book, a film, or when we're talking about a period of time, at the beginning of the month, at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the term. For example, I started my new job at the beginning of the year. In the beginning means at first, and it's the opposite for in the end. In the beginning, she didn't like him. So at first, she didn't like him. Arrive in, arrive at, or arrive to. Arrive in and arrive at are correct. Arrive to is incorrect. Arrive is not a verb of movement, so we don't use to with this verb. We use arrive in when we're talking about towns, cities, and countries, big places. For example, we arrived in Brazil yesterday. And we use arrive at when talking about places in towns or cities such as buildings, or when we're talking about events. She arrived at the airport just in time to catch the plane. They arrived at the party too late. It was already over. In the corner, on the corner, or at the corner. We use in the corner when something is situated inside. So you may say, there's a chair in the corner, meaning there's a chair in the corner of the room. Or another example, what is there in the corner of the box? We use on the corner of something when something is on top. For example, you can say that the book is on the corner of the table, or somebody is on the corner of the roof. We can also use on the corner when we're talking about streets. For example, you may say, there's a cash machine on the corner, meaning there's a cash machine on the corner of streets or roads. You can also use at the corner in this example. So there's a cash machine at the corner of High Street and Green Road. So when we're talking about media, we use two prepositions, in and on. When we say that something appears in printed media, we use in, so we say in a magazine or in a newspaper. When something is being broadcast, we use on, so we say on TV, on the radio, on YouTube, on a YouTube channel. I came across a very provoking article in the newspaper the other day. I watch a lot of educational videos on YouTube. We also say in a picture or in a photo. Who are these people in the photo? been to or been in. There's a lot of confusion among students about these two phrases. Let's look at the examples. Number 1, I've been to London a few times. And number 2, I've been in London for 2 days, or I've been in London since yesterday. So there's a difference in meaning in these two sentences. And the first example, been to, means traveled to or visited. So you could say, I have traveled to London a few times, or I have visited London a few times, which means you're talking about your past experience. The second example tells us that you arrived in London 2 days ago and you are still here, you are still in London. And in this case, you always have to specify for how long you have been in the place or since when. So we could just say, I've been to London, and it makes sense. I've been to London, it means I have traveled to London or I have visited London. But in the second example, you always have to say for how long or since when you've been in London. So if you say, I've been in London, it would be incorrect. I've been in London for 5 days, or I've been in London since last year. On time or in time. We use on time to mean punctual, to mean at the time that was planned. The meeting is at 9 a.m., but they never start on time, which means they never start at 9 a.m., they are never punctual. My plane landed on time, which means my plane landed according to the timetable, according to a specific time mentioned in the timetable. In time means soon enough. I managed to finish my project in time, which means I managed to finish it before the deadline, soon enough to meet the deadline. We can say just in time, which means right before something happens. You're just in time, we're going to watch a movie. It means you arrived just before we started watching a movie. We can also say in time for something or in time to do something. I want to be home in time for dinner. She arrived in time to see me off. So she arrived soon enough to see me off. At the weekend, on the weekend, or over the weekend. We can use all three. At the weekend is more common in British English. On the weekend and over the weekend are more common in American English. I don't do much at the weekend. They're having a party on the weekend. Let's meet over the weekend. But we say at weekends or on weekends, not over, when saying that something usually or regularly happens on Saturday and Sunday. I go away at weekends, which means I usually do that. I usually go away at weekends or on weekends. On the bed, in bed, in the bed. We use on the bed when we're talking just about the position of something or someone. So we could say, he's sitting on the bed. The book is on the bed. In these examples, bed means a piece of furniture, a specific piece of furniture, so we can replace it with another piece of furniture like sofa. So we can say, the book is on the sofa, or he's sitting on the sofa. We use in bed when talking about people who are covered with sheets and blankets. For example, she spent all morning in bed. Or when I'm ill, I stay in bed. In these examples, bed doesn't mean a specific type of furniture, so you can't replace it with sofa. Here it wouldn't make sense. It just means that you are covered with your sheets, your blankets, and you have a pillow behind you. We use in the bed to refer to a particular bed. Like in this example, there's no one in the bed. There's no one lying or sitting covered with sheets and blankets. Alright, that's it for today's lesson. I hope everything was clear and you will never make mistakes with these prepositions. Please leave your examples in the comments section below. I will be very happy to read them. See you in another lesson. Bye!